All right, we're here standing on board the Jade 95, and as you can see behind us, this is the Aleph Indonesian-built boat. 100-year-old teak wood. It was built about 2 years ago. It's 131 feet, and we're gonna go check it out and see what's on board. Hopefully, perhaps Jack Sparrow might be on there. You never know. It does sort of look like a pirate boat, doesn't it? So let's go check it out, see what the owner has to say, and why he decided to build a boat that would probably scare a lot of people off.
The bowsprit on an Aleph, we built her running out. These were tree trunks when we brought them on, and one of the Hajis basically with a chainsaw and a little rounded axe actually cut and built this here. This is also the guest's favorite place to hang out. When we're lucky, we get dolphins down there, and we sort of sit out here and just sort of watch the day go by. The netting you see there is actually purpose made. When we put up the sails, we have to walk out that plank. In a high sea, it's quite an adventure. So since it's hard to replace crew, I found it was more useful to just have that net there. Every so often somebody does land in it. Right there you see the anchor winch. This took a bit of work to get it right. It's a modified industrial winch. You've got the mast here, and the mast was, it was in wood. And the problem is that it is getting very difficult to find good wooden masts. And a not so good wooden mast is slightly dangerous. So in fact, we pulled them out, and these are now steel. We built these masts in a yard which does drilling platforms. So this mast will take just about anything that nature will throw at it. But as you can see, sort of for aesthetic reasons, we've covered it all in ironwood. So this was all purposely built in Bali to sort of dress the mast. It also holds it in place. Here we have access up to the crow's nest. As you can see, if anybody's feeling very adventurous, you can climb up there. The problem is the hatch is rather narrow, so I've gotten into it once, but getting back out of it was something of a challenge. I had to do it once to say I'd been up there. I'm not going to do it a second time, not even for your camera. Here is our lounge area, or one of our lounge areas. This turns into a dining room table. That is, we've got a crank on it. We can bring it up, and then we can have 12 people sit around for lunch. And then in the afternoon, they can lounge around in the shade. Generally, when we have foreign tourists, people from Europe aboard, they want to lie in the sun. When we have Asians or local expats, they want to be in the shade. So we've got the shade with this tent you see above us. And this is a good place to spend the afternoon. Here's where we suit up for diving. We do a lot of diving on this boat. It's not a dive charter boat. We don't have 10 or 12 divers going straight out because we're not really set up for it. But we do have compressors, nitrox, pretty much everything you need. I'm going to take you up to the Wheelhouse. This is where all the real work gets done. We built this in Bali. We totally redesigned. This is a more modern design for Wheelhouse. As you can see, we have pretty much all of the modern navigational equipment. We've got radar, we've got GPS sounders, plotters, 3 computers aboard, auto helm, satellite, always on internet, satellite broadband, plus 2 backup satellite telephone systems for, just to provide redundancy. But we still have a traditional steering wheel. We don't have a tiller. We don't have the joystick, which you see in some of the modern yachts. This is still, it's a labor-intensive process. We've got a crew of about 14 people, including 9 mariners and 4 or 5 service personnel. Especially putting up the sails on this boat's a big job. And when we put up the sails, we can now get the sails up in about 15 or 20 minutes. But to do it, everybody, including the cook and the helpers, everybody is on deck. to get those sails up, and sometimes the owner too. These boats do require, a much larger crew than you would on a more modern type of yacht. So this is where the executive crew, if you will, live. And then we've got our crew space downstairs and at the back of the boat, which is where our crew has their own, their own independent existence. They don't mix too much with the guests. This is the master cabin. Please come in, also known as my bedroom. As you see, we've got about 45 square meters here. There's a terrace balcony, which is sort of private. When myself or one of my guests charters and has friends aboard, they can sort of come out and be independent up here. And basically, since we don't have a walk around gangway, this is quite private. I work aboard the vessel a lot. So we've got, as I said, we've got an internet system which allows me to stay in contact. This is the master bath, the master heads. These are blown glass sinks, which a friend of mine blew in for us in Bali, Indonesia. It was quite a process to get anything quite this big and get two alike, but it's a detail I particularly like. There's plenty of cabinet room back here, storage space and some hanging space for the main charterer. The shower is quite spacious for what you'll usually have on a boat. We've got basically rock mosaic on the walls, and the fact that this mosaic sits here shows you how stable the boat is. After 2 years, it's still very much in place. So, as you can see, we've got a queen-size bed, plenty of storage, and a lot of light. It's nice, especially when we do passages at night, and you go to sleep in one landscape, and you can wake up in a very different landscape. And since you have pretty much panoramic view, you feel very close to the nature here. It's not like some boats where you're sort of below the surface and you're sort of in a cave and then you come out. Here you're in the daylight pretty much all the time. It does warm up a bit, which is why we have a very substantial air conditioning system here. Now I'm going to take you down the stairs into the salon. This is the salon area. We have basically space for 12 people. If you have a look here, this is keeping with the Aleph theme. We have, it's a trompe-l'oeil done by an artist friend of mine in Indonesia, in Bali. If you open it, got the TV screen. So people who, their kids, we don't have we have DVD, full electronics, of course. So people either want to show their dive pictures, or we have a fairly large video library, and people can sit around and watch video. I never do, but it is available. This is a medicine box. A medicine man carries it in the forest of Kalimantan. And these dolls, each doll is for a particular illness. And it's a mixture of magic and herbal medicine. And he will have inside of it his various herbs. But apparently what is very important is that they use these little dolls to cure whatever particular illness the person has. I've never tried it, but I'm told it works very well. Our French carpenter furniture builder in Bali, Bruno Helgen, made these for us. He's also the person who made a lot of the furnishings here and provided all of his factory is where a lot of the fine joinery comes from. But this is his signature piece, the globe. So we haven't gotten an electronic so that the boat actually appears on it yet, but we're hoping to. It's made out of wood. These are penis cords, which are the only clothes worn by the Dayaks in Raja Ampat and Papua New Guinea, which is where we cruise. And of course, this is much further into the forest. but this is the local fashion, menswear. I've never tried it. And then here we have a all singing, all dancing industrial kitchen. So we're basically preparing food for about 20-25 people in this area. We've got a lot of refrigeration and freezing capacity because we sometimes do some fairly long cruises away from places we can resupply, and we like to have fresh lettuce after a few weeks. So we do have sufficient capacity here to pretty much any place where we're going to sail in the Southeast Asian basin. This is one of the guest cabins. All four of them are pretty much similar. As you can see, we have the same sort of glass, blown glass basins here. It's a particular detail I liked, and the showers are just a little bit smaller down here, but it's very much it's the same sort of design. Basically following the contour of the hull. So it's very spacious. There are not too many boats where you have even the guest cabins and showers this size. There's full, we've got large closets, we've got desks, there's plenty of storage space. The cabin is fairly spacious. If you follow me going forward, this is one of the other two, and here we're en suite. This cabin here can be converted into a suite for people who are traveling with their children or something. Sometimes they like to have that communication there. The bathrooms are pretty much the same. Everything is en suite. What's interesting here is if you take a look at the hull construction, you see this is basically built as a cargo boat. It is hugely over-dimensioned. It could carry 200 tons of cargo. Of course it doesn't. It carries 12 passengers. But if you look, the stringers are about 9 inches apart. So this hull is extremely resilient. The boat is very stiff. She doesn't, even in very high waves, she doesn't sing. There's virtually no noise. Which is rare from a wooden boat. The reason for that is, as you can see, these the cayuse here, which are stiffeners, and this very tough hull design. So we've always said if she ever sails into an iceberg, the iceberg will sink.